One debate that I always see in my comment section is what constitutes as having fun in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think I have to point out, especially for this video, and you'll see why in a minute, fun is completely subjective. So for some players, for casual players, they like sort of those clown fiesta games. And what I mean by that is they like the Yu-Gi-Oh games where they can sit down and their opponents and them are playing like 40 different cards in their deck and a whole bunch of crazy situations come up and it's just like a mess. And that's cool. If you like that, that's totally fine. That's fine. But some people like myself, competitive players, the fun part of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is spending the time perfecting your deck and then going to a tournament with whatever tech cards or ratios that you've spent all your time and energy coming up with and then actually seeing that be successful. I mention this because the other day, well yesterday, I went to a tag dueling tournament and my friend and I are without a doubt like the most competitive players at that locals from what I've seen. I've only been there one time and I think that's cool. I think it's cool if it's like a casual locals that doesn't have any like meta players there. I think that's awesome. But we wanted to sort of break the format. That's just who we are. And the card that we came up with that we remembered from our tag duel days on like Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro was Ancient Leaf. Now, if you don't know what Ancient Leaf does, basically, if you have more than 9,000 life points, you can pay 2,000 of them to draw 2 cards. So why is this good? Well, in tag dueling, at this tag dueling, we started with 16,000 life points, which meant that Ancient Leaf was essentially a better version of Pot of Greed. Well, I guess not a better version of Pot of Greed, but it's a legal version of Pot of Greed where you could draw 2 cards for free. And that's absolutely ridiculous. And we wanted to play 3 copies in each of our decks and just totally wreck our opponents. However, it was nearly impossible to find any Ancient Leaves because we only had like 2 days to actually look for these cards. We only found 1 copy. I played it in my deck, not my partner, and I never drew it like the whole tournament, which is fine. But I just wanted to mention that like if you're gonna play in a tag dueling tournament and you want to just beat every single person you play against, just play 3 copies of Ancient Leaf. There were some other things about this tournament that were kind of funny, so I didn't really know what they would do with the rulings, because there were official tag duel rulings like way back in the day. I don't think they're updated. I think that the last time they're updated was like when synchros were out, but not when exceeds or links or pendulums, so you can tell that it's pretty old. So I thought they were going to use those. And the format of that, if I remember correctly, is like I go, and then my opponent goes, and then my teammate goes, and then my partner's opponent goes. And so it's like a back and forth type thing, and you like share fields, and you can like make stuff with your partner's cards. Like you can go into your extra deck stuff. That was what I thought it was. However, when we got there, they told us that we were like not only sharing a field, but we were sharing a turn. So like, if we won the die roll, my partner and I would both draw 5 cards, we would both have a normal summon, and then we could just do our regular turn. This sort of broke the format, and I think it made it really unfair, although it cleared up a lot of the rulings. They weren't as confusing. Well, yeah, it broke the format because I was playing frogs, and my partner was playing pendulums, and both decks sort of pick up the slack from the other one. So pendulums are really good at opening boards, but they don't have a lot of longevity because of the new like extra monster zone ruling. A lot of times, if you can break their board, they can't recover. Frogs are the opposite. They struggle with like good opening boards, but they can usually win any war of attrition, and just they always win the longevity games. So with those decks combined, we created some really nasty turn ones, where my friend had like a whole board with like Vortex and like Naruto and Tornado Dragon, and then I just like set 4 back row and pass. So like it was basically like you could play pendulums, except you always opened trap cards with your opening board, because the brick hands for frogs are just like all trap cards. But see, my friend was playing pendulums and he couldn't brick with the deck because the whole deck just does the same thing. We would always just open his ridiculous board and then some trap cards, and sometimes we would open Toad. I also should mention for this tournament, there was no side decking because it would take too long, so they were all game ones. And with all this in mind, let's take a look at what I played, because I had to make a lot of changes because I can't play anti-spell, because my friend has to like play his pendulum cards. I don't really want to play a lot of trap cards just because if you brick like super hard, there's no coming back, just because there's only the first game. So anyway, let's get in the profile here. We have 3 copies of Swap Frog, 3 copies of Dupe Frog, and 2 copies of Rodent Totem. Yeah, I mean, these cards are obviously really good. I don't need to talk about those. I played the Spellbook engine, so that was pretty cool. I like this engine a lot. It just gets better and better every time I play it. I am playing the 2-1-1 ratio, which I think is really solid. So yeah, 2 of those guys. I played 2 Eater of Millions. I only do this once, and all I did with it was special summon it so that my friend can make a Borreload Dragon. In that regard, though, that was pretty good. We definitely need that Borreload to win, so that's cool. I played 3 copies of Ash Blossom and 2 copies of Ghost Ogre. So at this tournament, because we were sharing a field and sharing a turn, hard once return effects like restricted both players. So like if I open Ogre and my friend opened Ogre, we couldn't Ogre twice. So he was playing 3 Ogre and 0 Ash. I was playing 3 Ash, and I'd say it worked fine. There was the first round where I opened 2 Ogre, both of them, and he opened 1 Ogre. We still managed to win though, just because like it's like a lot of people just kind of like, this is where I'm like saying like I don't know if like everyone's version of fun is different. So like we just want to play like, the best decks possible and just like win. Where a lot of people just kind of showed up playing whatever decks that they just had and just played those. Like I felt really bad round 1 because one player was playing Invoked and he like summoned Mechaba, and then like his teammate wanted to use like Duality, but like he couldn't use Duality because he special summoned that turn. It was just super sad. So yeah, I don't think a lot of people like really cared about this tournament, but like I like winning, so I wanted to try. We did play the one at Prada Greed. So yeah, like I said, we couldn't find any more than 1 copy. I got it. So I took out because my deck can play Desires worse than my friends. He played Desires and I played Ancient Leaf. Because Desires is a hard once per turn. So like if we both drew Desires, it'd be really bad. But yeah, I never drew his card. So, but it is good. Like it obviously is just a straight Pot of Greed, so it's really powerful. I played the 2 spellbooks, like I said, 2-1-1. This ratio is super solid. You just use the first blue boy to get both these cards out of the deck, and then you have 1 blue boy left, so you can discard it for Swap Frog. Pretty good. I played 2 copies of Scapegoat. I never saw these, but they're good in theory. I played Monster Reborn and Soul Charge. These cards are obviously really, really overpowered, just like in general, but also when like you have a partner, so that you always make sure you have stuff in the graveyards or whatever. Because there's no side decking, I wanted to play Twin Whisters and Regeki in the main. I didn't want to lose to stupid stuff. I'd say that the most ridiculous board that we fought through, and it wasn't due to these cards, we didn't actually draw these, but one player, the person across from me, had Vanity's Fiend, March of the Monarchs, and Solemn Judgment, and then the other player had Masterpiece, and another March of the Monarchs. And we actually managed to play through that with a couple smart moves using different Paleozoic cards, and then Purple Poison Magician and Black Fang Magician. But that was like really, really tough to get over. But that was good. That was like the perfect example of like, well, not the perfect. I'll tell you the perfect when we get to the extra deck. But that was the second perfect example of like us sort of using our combined decks. Because a lot of people, what I saw them do was just like one player would play through his like opening, and then the other player would play through his opening, and then they would just pass. We were actually like, combining our decks, and so it was like our deck combined was like better than like the sum of its parts, where a lot of people were just sort of just playing their own decks by themselves. So anyway, for the traps, we did cut like every one pretty much, but we wanted to play 3 Canadia, 3 of the Dust Tornado guy. I had to cut the Desires last minute because I didn't know that we were going to share fields until like I got there. So I just cut them for 2D Barrier and 1 Mere Force randomly because I just thought I wanted like a piece of removal. I never drew into any of these cards, these 3, so I don't think they actually matter. But it's not like no one's going to play tag tournaments. But if you do play tag tournaments, I guess those are fine. I probably should have just played Storm and Mere Force. That's what I really wanted to play. But my friend wanted me to play regular Mere Force, so that's what I played. I drew into these cards a lot. So the Solemns. Judgment might sound crazy, but hear me out. So if you use Judgment in a normal game, you're going down to 4,000 life points. It's like, okay, that's a lot. But in this game, like in these ones, you were going down to 8,000 life points. So it's really like you paid nothing. Because like, I mean, the whole idea behind Ancient Leaf and like Judgment or whatever is that like the life points don't matter. All that mattered was us making ridiculous first turn boards. That's what we did. Judgment helped make ridiculous boards. It won us like, I think every time I drew this, we just won. But yeah, so Judgment's like ridiculous. The 8,000 life points doesn't matter because then you still have 8,000. Really, really good. I don't know if everyone played that card, but I definitely did, and it was really powerful. So for the extra deck, we have 3 copies of Toad, 2 copies of Opabania, 1 of this guy, 1 of Sky Cavalry. Sorry, the camera's not out of focus, or the camera's out of focus. Don't know how long that was happening. So those only rank 2s. And then 2 Mistar Boy, 1 Proxy Dragon. I'm playing 2 Link Spider because no one has Link Kribos to sell me, but definitely play 1 Link Spider, 1 Link Kribo. That hasn't come up yet, but it does come up when you make Skull Dread. We have 1 Borreload Dragon, and then 1 Skull Dread, and then 1 Heavy Metal Foes Electromite. So this card was in there because I was playing cherries in like my normal version. I didn't care enough to like swap this out for rank 2. I probably should have, but okay. So the actual like nut combo that we did, which was like probably one of the most unfair things I've seen in a while. It was with Skull Dread. So basically, I opened a hand that was like Dupe Frog, Ronin Totem, and 3 traps, and that's like not that good. But what I had my friend do is so he did his like pendulum combo, and he ended with the Odd Eyes card, Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon, and then 3 differently named pendulums. So what I did is I used all 4 of his monsters that were differently named to summon Skull Dread, and that triggered his Odd Eyes guy, so he got a Vortex Dragon, and then this guy triggered, so I drew 4 cards and put 3 to the bottom. So the ending field was he had Vortex and Scales and stuff, and then I had Skull Dread and a Toad and 4 back row. Like, it was like Judgment, Double Strike, and then the Book of Moon guy. That was like super unfair. Like, I can't believe, like, it was just super ridiculous. And that's kind of what I mean. Like, most people weren't like doing that kind of stuff. They were just sort of like playing their own game. But we were like going back and forth, and we were like always using each other's cards, and I think it made it a lot easier. So yeah, that'll pretty much wrap up this deck profile. Like, no one's gonna play like tag duel format, and if they are playing tag duel format, they'll probably play like the back and forth. But it was cool. It was cool. I don't think I would play in that like every week. I don't even think they do it every week. I think they do it every month. But so it like was fun, but I like structured games, and like we didn't really know a lot of the rulings. Like, we asked a lot of ruling questions beforehand, and they kept saying like, oh, if it comes up, like we'll tell you while it's happening. But really, like, I don't know. I think that's like when I noticed like the difference between like competitive and casuals. Like, once again, is like casual players are just like fine like addressing rulings as they come up, but like we wanted to know like all the rulings ahead of time so we didn't like misplay. But yeah, it was fun. It was cool. I think our last opponents had like the right idea. They were both just playing good decks, just like we were. They were playing Trick Stars and Mech Knight Invoked, and I think that's like the right idea, just to play 2 different but good decks. That's probably why they were undefeated into the last round as well. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I met some subscribers. I think some of the people there were subscribed to me, so that's cool as well. Everyone was super friendly, and it was fun. Probably wouldn't play it again, but it was cool while I was there. So if you want to break your tag format duels, definitely play 3 Ancient Leafs, and it'll be pretty ridiculous. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.